So Rhode Island is the new state attempting to copy the state of California to ban so-called large capacity magazines and so-called assault weapons. So let's talk about this. But real quick before we jump into this video, if you think bans on rifles and magazines is unconstitutional, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. Also, I want to give a shout out to one of the main supporters of this channel, which is USCCA. Through your membership, you get training, education, and self-defense liability protection. So if you carry a firearm, I highly recommend you take a look into USCCA, and I'll put a link to them down in the details section. So I guess in the intro, the state of Rhode Island has introduced 2 gun control bills which seek to mirror what the state of California has already put in place. The first ban is a ban on so-called large capacity magazines, and the other ban is a ban on so-called assault weapons. S2653 is titled the Large Capacity Feeding Device Ban of 2022, was introduced this month, along with S2224 titled the Rhode Island Assault Weapons Ban Act of 2022, which was introduced last month. So let's talk about what these bills seek to do, and then let's talk about why this should be concerning for gun owners in Rhode Island, but also other states as well. So first let's talk about S2653, which is the proposed magazine ban in the state of Rhode Island. Under this bill, it states, no person, except for a federally licensed firearms dealer, shall manufacture, sell, offer to sell, transfer, purchase, possess, or have under his or her control a large capacity feeding device, except as otherwise authorized under this chapter. Any person convicted of violating these provisions of this section shall be punished by imprisonment of not more than 5 years or by a fine of up to $5,000, and the large capacity feeding device shall be subject to forfeiture. So that is the general language in this bill in regards to ban on specific types of magazines. Unlike other state magazine bans that we saw recently passed, like in the state of Washington, this current bill in Rhode Island does not have a grandfathered kind of mechanism or clause in it. Instead, it is a complete ban on the possession of these types of magazines. The bill states that 180 days after the effective date of the bill, a person in possession of a standard capacity magazine must either modify them to only hold 10 rounds, or they need to surrender them to the law enforcement agency that's in charge of their area. They need to turn it over to an FFL, or they need to completely destroy them. With this specific bill and language, the state and its residents are facing a complete ban on standard capacity magazines. Now, what does this bill seek to define as so-called large capacity magazines? Well, the bill states, large capacity feeding device means a magazine, box, drum, tube, belt feed strip, or other ammunition feeding device which is capable of holding or can readily be extended to hold more than 10 rounds of ammunition to be fed continuously and directly therefrom into a semi-automatic firearm. The term shall not include an attached tubular device which is capable of holding only .22 caliber rimfire ammunition. If that definition sounds familiar, that's because it is. This bill is recycling and reusing the same language used in the state of California in its magazine ban, and also the recent state of Washington ban on these same type of magazines. Now, if magazine bans weren't bad enough, the legislator and these individuals in the legislature decided to go even bigger and introduce a ban on so-called assault weapons. The bill states no person shall manufacture, sell, offer to sell, transfer, purchase, possess, or have under his or her control an assault weapon, except as otherwise authorized under this section. Any person convicted of violating this subsection shall be punished by imprisonment of not more than 10 years or by a fine up to $10,000, and the assault weapons shall be subject to forfeiture. The caveat to this bill and this language that the state has kind of carved out is that a person can maintain possession of a so-called assault weapon that they possessed prior to the enactment of this bill and when it goes into force and effect, only if they register it with the state. Again, if this is ringing some bells in your head, that is because this is the same type of language and scheme that states like California have used with their initial bans on things like so-called assault weapons. They had an initial ban with a registration component where they said if you wanted to maintain possession of these specific type of rifles, well, then you need to register them with the state. Now, what does the state define as a so-called assault weapon? Well, it includes any semi-automatic rifle with a detachable magazine with at least one offending feature like a folding stock, a pistol grip, or a flash suppressor. So if you're in Rhode Island and you're making fun of all the weird featureless rifles that you see in the state of California and California gun owners have, well, just keep in mind that pretty soon you may have to configure rifles in the same way. The only way to maintain traditional rifles like AR-15s and AKs in the traditional configurations would be to actually have to register them with the state of Rhode Island. But with this comes concerns that registration always later comes with confiscation. And in the meantime, in this bill, the state of Rhode Island gets to dictate how you transport that firearm. You also have to register it, and they can dictate like when and where you can use it. So similar to what California did, where when the registration was put into effect, they say, okay, you've registered this so-called assault weapon with the state. Now we can say how you transport it, how you store it, who can inherit it, where you can actually take it and use it. And with it comes all these other restrictions that the state gets to then put on that specific rifle. You may be thinking to yourself at this point, if you're not in Rhode Island, that none of this will impact you, none of this matters. Well, in fact, it does. As we've learned, gun control laws like this do not stay isolated to specific states. What started in states like California and New York have now trickled into other states like Washington with their recent passing of a magazine ban, and now maybe even Rhode Island. Many people in other states like to take comfort in the fact that, well, their state will never pass these type of laws, that maybe they're right-leaning, maybe they're a red state or their area is red, and that they will never have to worry about any of this. Well, we all know that's not true. It only takes one election cycle for a legislator to completely flip, and then you may be also facing these types of bills and bans in your own state. That is why we all need to support these states and those individuals in these states who have these restrictive laws and bills being introduced, and we need to support them in fighting these. A lot of people say, well, you just need to move out of the state if you don't like it. And really moving is only a temporary solution, especially as we see more and more states pass these type of laws. And again, these types of bills and laws do not stay isolated to a specific state. Currently, there is a case up in the Supreme Court level seeking review from the Supreme Court, which is the Maryland assault weapons ban case. That case is Bianchi v. Frosch. That case, if granted review by the Supreme Court, could help stop these types of bills like which is being introduced in Rhode Island and could stop other laws that are currently in effect like in California. However, I wouldn't completely bank on those cases since we don't know how aggressive the Supreme Court wants to be right now, how aggressive they plan to be on Second Amendment issues and cases going forward, and there is no guarantee that they will take up that case. So the best solution right now is to fight this bill and do not let it get passed. So I just wanted to bring this to everyone's attention because again, there is another state trying to copy the state of California's template and infringing on core Second Amendment rights. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and comment down below and I'll try to answer the best of my ability. Also, if you like this video and like support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is to like, comment, and subscribe. All those things help to fuel the algorithm or fuel Al Gore's rhythm. It adds fuel to his jet and it signals to YouTube that you guys see value in these videos and in this type of two-way news. Again, I want to thank everybody who likes, comments, subscribes, who hits the notification bell, who shares these videos. You guys are directly impacting these videos, impacting this channel, and helping me to reach and educate more people than I could have ever thought. So thank you so much for all of your support. If you don't have a comment in mind, just comment down below. That comment fuel the algorithm, and that really does help these videos. So as always, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And never forget, this is with Built Bar Armor Scholars, and it's nation we maintain Bar Armor Scholars.